Okay, rock it.
This is Penn Sunday School.
Ho!
And to our listening ears, all nature sings and round us rings the music of the spheres. This is Penn Sunday School.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School, starring Penn Gillette. My name is Michael Boudreau. Matt Donnelly, Penn and I. We're broadcasting from Show Creator Studios South here in Las Vegas. The Penn and Teller Show, now with Spaniards in the works. Is that how you wanted to add for that? Yeah. And tomorrow morning, Penn will not be a vegan. Here he is preaching temporary love, apparently. Mr. Penn Gillette.
Temporary love?
What are you going to eat tomorrow?
Oh, that's right.
You're going to kill something.
Preaching love, yeah, with my bare hands.
Oh, man.
My teeth.
This sounds awful.
But first, I want to tell you, on the same subject, I had a really incredible experience that I think's worth talking about.
Okay.
I haven't talked to anybody about this yet. I was on an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, flying from maybe Chicago. No, it was someplace I was flying Southwest. So I was in the exit row.
Right.
I had the double long seat.
Got the one good seat.
There's actually two good seats, but yes, one of the two good seats. And I got my legs stretched out. And then next to me, there's a cat in the middle seat, not in a great seat.
Right.
Then a guy in the aisle.
Yeah.
And the cat in the middle seat is going about his business. And then, I know, we were flying from, it was Denver. It was Southwest flight, Denver to Vegas. And the guy was about, 40, trim, nondescript. And he has been on his phone with his headphones on. And I looked up, and he'd said something to the person on the aisle. Because the window is the one that has the long.
Yeah.
He looked over at me and said, this is the exact sentence. Excuse me, would you be offended if I read a hunting magazine?
Wow.
I said, no, go right ahead. And he reached into his bag and he pulled out, Outdoor Life or something and started reading an article.
Kill it today.
Started reading an article just in his own world where you would have to look over his shoulder to be offended. And I sat there thinking about
the dead elephant centerfold. What a strange time in our culture. Yeah.
On the airline TV sets, they warn you about this. They say, be careful what you're watching because of the people sitting around you.
Do they?
They do. On some of the flights that I've been on, there's a notice of that. And so maybe, not on Southwest. Southwest doesn't have the in-flight TV stuff.
Right. Huh. I have, when I go on, sometimes on the flights, I try to do what I call my Schultz hour, because Schultz, where I sit for an hour without any communication and just think. And it's really, I've written 15 bits for Penn and Teller during those hours, just sitting thinking. It's wonderful. But on the airplane, I always end up watching what's on the screen.
Yeah.
I watched, what's the Keanu Reeves
John Wick 3.
John Wick 3, which I don't think you need the words for.
I don't think so at all.
Yeah. I just had that going on in the background while I'm thinking. But I was very, very interested in this. And also, there's no doubt that every second on my computer there's offensive stuff for the person next to me.
Sure.
Which I have always thought. As a matter of fact, right before 9/11, I mean 9/11, 2001, like 3 weeks before that, I think people know that I was friends with Al Goldstein.
Mm-hmm.
And Al Goldstein was the pornographer, did a magazine called Screw Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And when in his later years, he was very, very wealthy. And in his later years, he was not, and he was homeless. And Ratso, Larry Sloman, and I took care of him. We got him in an apartment and paid for him and got him off the streets and put him in a proper nursing home and all of that until he died. And as I once said to Ratso, if you're at the end of your life and the only two people that care about you are Penn and Ratso, you've lived a pretty lousy life. But we took care of Al. But I was friends with Al, and I always liked that Screw Magazine was so, this is, the turn of the last century. So this is before internet porn goes crazy. It's right at the end. Right at the end of Screw Magazine, end of Screw. And I would love Al's editorials. And Screw Magazine was a very pornographic newspaper. It wasn't even a magazine. It was printed on newsprint like a tabloid.
Oh, okay.
And it was, just ads for all. One of my favorite ads in Screw Magazine ever was a person advertising SM. And you have to have the, you pay for the word. So you want to keep it short. Yeah. It said, permanent damage, okay. Wouldn't you want to say more about that?
I for sure am squirming with qualifications.
Permanent damage, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the reading of that?
Exclamation point, too much.
Okay. I was reading it on the airplane.
Yeah.
Looking over because actually Al had written an editorial. I was pretty interested. It was about Lenny Bruce and being partners. I'm reading that, but there's pictures all over, and so I'm reading it in a public place, and the flight attendant comes over to me and says, "We'd rather you didn't read that here because people are complaining that they can see over your shoulder." And I said, well, they're reading over my shoulder. It's none of their business. They've gotten their punishment.
They took the first shot.
Precisely. So I argue and I say, I don't think I'm going to put it away. That I think this is my right to read this. What I'm reading is legal and I can read it here. She said, please put it away. And I put it away and then immediately pulled out my laptop and crafted a letter to Nadine Strawson, who was the head of the ACLU, saying, I'm going to file a complaint with the airline about this. I believe I can read whatever I want in my little cone of privacy. And then they flew planes into the towers. It didn't seem that important.
Hello, Natalie. Still following up about my...
Just wanted to find out.
Before we start profiling all Muslims, I want to get this really taken care of.
But it is really, really an issue. I wrote a thing when I used to write the back page of PC Computing magazine.
Right, yeah.
I wrote a whole article on people reading. I believe, and this is the way I was brought up, if you left a letter open on the kitchen table of my home,
yeah,
and the first word of that letter was Penn, my parents would not read that, no matter what. And if there was something left out, a letter left out wide open on the table that said Sam, my dad's name,
yeah,
I would never cross my mind,
right, yeah,
to look at a word. And I remember once I was at my apartment in New York. And my good friend, a very good friend, still a very close friend of mine, was in my apartment in New York, and my mail was there on the table, and he picked up a postcard and was looking at it. I remember being so appalled. Like, you'd pick up a postcard at someone's house and look at it? Now, obviously, the postcard can go through the mail and we can look at it, but if a postcard was in front of me and didn't have my name on it, I would not read it.
Right.
And I believe that it's an absolute deal breaker if someone reads over my shoulder my computer. I've taught my children, when there's something on a computer screen, you do not look at it under any circumstances. If someone's looking over and say, oh, I notice you're, and I do not look. Now, I just said I was looking at the John Wick. I believe that's different. That's a TV in a public place. But I would not look at someone's computer. So this guy saying, would you be offended if I read a hunting magazine? The emotions I had over that were so complex.
Sure.
And then he pulled out Celebrity Sleuth.
Yes, he had new pictures of me with Keith Richards. It was really fascinating.
Yeah.
That he was going to, and there were pictures of antlers. The other thing is that when he opened it up, I looked in a way I never would have before.
Right. Yeah.
Because he kind of
It's
given
an
me.
invitation.
It was kind of, sort of. Isn't it kind of, sort of invitation?
Hey, you like looking at shot up at deer?
I'm so curious about it because on the one hand, there's like basically like Andy Dukes challenged you to show that atheists can be kind on television.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like if I were to, stereotypically, if someone was going to pull out a hunting magazine, they would kind of be like brazenly like, whatever, dude.
Fuck you.
I'm going to read this
I'm
fucking
reading this.
magazine.
Yeah, look at this.
I hunt.
Yeah. A chipmunk shot in the face. What do you think of that?
I have a macho t-shirt that's way too many words on it on the back.
If you want to take away my rights to be able to have what I want to have, then you better be ready to deal with what I'm going to do. That's all I read.
That's all I can. And you walked away. I can't. The flight's over. Like that's so the fact that the guy understands that there might be a dynamic of judgment and that he's trying to be respectful of your judgment of hunting before he engages in the activity is, it's strange.
And I chose my words carefully.
Yeah.
We flew for like another hour.
Yeah.
And as we were leaving, I said, I just want to say that it is in your empathy and your clarity of who you are coupled with empathy, I find inspiring.
Yeah.
And he said, well, nowadays some people are really bothered. I said, no. I'm not talking about our culture. I'm talking about you.
Yeah.
And I find you are inspiring. And he said, well, I fly this route every week. I said, what do you do? And he went on to say, computer guy.
On his last flight, he just whipped out the magazine and some woman looked over and just vomited on him.
No, there was no, and I found it very complicated.
Yeah.
I
Did
don't
he
even
recognize you?
He'd asked the other guy first.
Yeah, yes to both parties.
So
yeah.
that's not part of the. That's not part of it.
No, good.
Yeah. So no.
Also,
Because he may not have wanted to be talked about on a podcast.
and again, like I said,
What's that?
He may not have wanted to be talked about on a podcast.
I didn't give his name.
No, I know.
also this is very complicated because if the guy does fly this route often and somehow ended up with a middle seat, I have some questions for him.
Maybe he's incredibly generous and takes the most uncomfortable seat as well.
Oh, wow.
Man.
Wow.
Maybe I was sitting next to
Buddha.
Gandhi. Buddha. Siddhartha came in and sat down. We have a Siddhartha. He's asked for a middle seat. We can accommodate you if you'd like, sir. He's number 3 on Southwest. He would like to move to number 89. We have that open. Sure, fine. And bring your hunting magazine. I just thought that was really worth talking about.
That is really
For
interesting.
sure.
Thinking about. I'd never encountered that before.
Now-
Because, see, me reading Screw Magazine, I did the precise opposite.
Yes.
Yeah.
The precise opposite. It is not your business to look what I'm looking at, so fuck you. He took the opposite of, we're sharing this space. I don't want to make you
It
uncomfortable.
reminds me also of your Gilbert conversation where you were actually comforting him, but you guys were being
Yeah.
outlandishly offensive.
Yeah.
And you were okay with people telling you to take the volume of your conversation down, but then they try to patrol the topic of your conversation. You're offended by that as well.
Yeah, it does tie in with this ties with a lot of stuff I think about. So I had a thing that said when I wrote Basic Computing, the back page about computing,
Yeah.
I had this whole thing about people reading on my screen, and I had this special letter that you could pop up that said, Dear Sally, it's been hard since getting back from Nam. And I finally have gotten out of prison from the last person that read over my shoulder on my computer screen, and I knifed them without warning in the throat. I finally got that went on like that, but it was just an absolute threat if you were reading over the shoulder.
That's great.
But I try to think that I can have anything on my computer screen when I'm working, and people around me should not look. Now, when you walk by a computer screen, do you look at what's on it?
No, on a flight, if someone has a computer open the laptop, just the bright lights, I can't not look at someone's screen.
Do you read it?
No.
Okay. But if they're running a movie,
Yeah, I will look at the movie.
I believe that too. I believe a movie is different. What do you think, Rennie? You're too busy vomiting on every flight.
I don't even read my own stuff.
Yeah. How about you, Godot? You fly a lot.
I fly a lot, and you're right. The flickering of a movie will draw my attention, and I will look at it like a bunch of times during the flight, but not read anything. I definitely don't read anything. In fact,
what I learned from being in the circus was walking by everybody's open door and not looking in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same habit.
Well,
that
with
I follow.
Marianne Williamson,
Yeah.
she was sitting in front of me.
Yeah, she was reading over your shoulder.
No, she was sitting in front of me, and she had she was texting on her computer. I mean, I was texting on her phone.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell by the movements,
Sure.
and it was lit, and I could have read it, and I would not read
No.
what Marianne Williamson had on her.
What
More patchouli
Would you
oil?
have-
I guess I'll get some.
what would your feelings have been if the magazine had he not talked to you first? If you looked over and just happened to see it was a hunting magazine,
I believe I wouldn't have ever known.
you think you would never look no
I
matter
would never
what?
looked. No,
Yeah.
none of my business.
I think if there was pictures, I could have been caught by a picture or something like that.
Yeah, I think you could have. Yeah, but also I've had people open the airplane magazine sitting next to me and hold up a picture of me and just point at it.
I can't picture looking at someone else's thing and then saying something to them or someone else about what I looked at.
Confessing about it?
Yeah.
Well, that's what someone did with my Screw magazine.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
They
I
went
can't
to
picture,
the flight attendant and said he has,
even if it was like a MAGA magazine, whatever. I could see getting mad about it or whatever, but then I don't think I could ever get to the point where that's not on me. I think even the most, whatever my angriest or most judgmental state, I don't think I could not. That conversation ends with it not being my fault for looking.
Right. Unless they're saying, and that's why I killed Kennedy and pinned it on Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah. Deep throat is, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Hoffa's in my...
What'd you say?
Hoffa is in my...
We built the vortex for that plane that disappeared. And I can't, I don't know how, I can't picture that not being my problem. I think it's strange.
But at any rate, it is remarkable that somebody who, before 9/11, stole his thunder,
Yeah.
Right.
was willing to fight
Yeah.
for being able to have pornography
Yeah.
in my own space on the airplane,
Yeah.
was then inspired by someone doing quite the opposite.
Well, your rallying cry now is kindness.
Yeah.
And then it was freedom.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That has changed. That has just changed. And I'd like to keep the freedom there, but I love the fact that it was very inspiring. And really, I think I sat and thought about it for about an hour.
Right. Yeah.
It was really, really something.
Would you feel like taking out pornography now on an airplane?
No.
Right.
Is that just
Although I
because
do.
you're an old
I mean,
guy?
I do because as I'm scrolling through stuff, you
Right.
know, if I'm on an airplane, yes, I think I do. I think stuff pops up on my screen,
Okay.
but not. So I think I would. I think I still would be okay. I think. Here's what I think. I think it's completely within his rights to pull out a Honey magazine and just read it, and no one should read over his shoulder.
Right.
And yet I'm still inspired by the empathy and the kindness. Both
Yeah.
those things
Right,
can
they're
be
both
true.
good.
Both those things can be true. We got an
I
advertising.
think then next time you want to read pornography on the plane,
Yeah.
you simply turn it and announce to everyone, excuse me, would you mind if I look at these awesome,
Full spread beaver.
do you mind if I look at this while I fly?
I'm going to be looking at hot sailor action,
Yeah.
if you'd like to.
You guys want to check that out? You want to read over my shoulder?
If you'd like to read over my shoulder, you're welcome to. But I'm going to be reading this one way or the t'other. So I have not. I've not done this yet, and I'm going to.
Okay.
I really am going to do this. This is the advertiser that when Dustin came to us and said, as he always does, the long-suffering Dustin goes, "Is this another ad you're going to turn down?" And I am going to actually use this. I'm going to try using it because I've never done anything like this in my life, and I want it. Is there something? I'm going to read a little bit of the talking points. Is there something that interferes with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals? BetterHelp online counseling is there for you. It's this company called BetterHelp online counseling. BetterHelp, that allows you to have a counselor, a shrink. Does it say anywhere here? Do not use the word shrink. Does not say that. Does not say don't use the word shrink. So
Okay.
I have a lot of friends who have been very helped by shrinks, very helped by going to counseling. And I never have. I've never done it. And I don't say that with any amount of pride. I just never gotten around to it. And I also think that the idea of having to drive to somebody and find somebody and all that stuff, the idea of doing this online seems brilliant. You can get help on your own time at your own pace. Schedule secure video or phone sessions plus chat and text with your therapist. Connect with a professional counselor in a safe and private online environment. Licensed professional counselors who are specialized in depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, sleeping, trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief, and self-esteem. Now, they're specializing in helping with that. That doesn't necessarily mean they have all those qualities. I don't think you can ask for a counselor. Can I have a counselor that's really angry? Anything you share is confidential. If you're not happy with your counselor for any reason, you request a new one at any time, no additional charge. 3,000 U.S. licensed therapists across all 50 states, available worldwide. 4 communication modes: text, chat, phone, and video. Start communicating under 24 hours. Available on desktop, mobile web, Android, and iOS apps. Schedule video and phone sessions, generally weekly, unless your therapist schedules more. Broad expertise in the network, which may not be locally available in many areas. Financial aid available for those who qualify. Secure, convenient, professional, affordable. Doesn't have to be a crisis time. You can just go and help out. Best of all, it's truly affordable option. Penn Sunday School listeners get 10% off your first month with discount code
Penn.
So why not get started today? Go to BetterHelp.com/Penn. Simply fill out a questionnaire and help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor you'll love. That's BetterHelp.com/Shrink. Penn.
Oh, Penn.
Penn. I'm going to try this, I think. I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
Is anybody else interested as I am in this? I don't know. I think it might be a good thing.
Well, yeah, I am interested in it. I've always seen therapists my whole life. And then when I haven't, my life's been worse. So I'm a big advocate of the old therapists.
Yeah, I have as well.
Yeah, I think it might be something I'm going to try. With HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit, get easy, seasonable recipes and pre-measured ingredients delivered right to your door. All you have to do is cook and enjoy. Michael Godot,
I love
tell us about HelloFresh.
HelloFresh has vegetarian options. It's really inexpensive. It's really delicious. It's really easy to cook. Everything's pre-measured. Everything's pre-chosen for you. The vegetables and things that they mailed me were beautiful and delightful, and it's great. I can't say enough nice things about
Something
them.
for everyone, from family recipes to calorie smart and vegetarian, and fun menu series like Hall of Fame and Craft Burgers. HelloFresh has more 5-star recipes than the other meal kit, so you know you'll get something delicious. HelloFresh is flexible and fits your lifestyle. Add extra meals to your weekly order, as well as yummy add-ons like garlic bread and cookie dough. Easily change delivery days, food preferences, and skip a week whenever you need. How'd your children do on cooking this stuff?
My children actually cooked it themselves. It's the greatest thing to hand them a box. They open it, and the recipe is very simple to follow, very nice pictures, very easy to do, and my kids are making meals better than I can make myself.
And what was your favorite meal?
They have a sweet potato quesadilla that I thought was delicious.
Wow, that sounds
It's
nice.
really good. Really good.
For $80 off, wow, Jesus, really? For $80 off your first month of HelloFresh,
And it's inexpensive already.
yeah,
It's great.
go to HelloFresh.com/Penn80.
Yeah.
Penn80, PENN80, and enter Penn80, PENN80. That's HelloFresh.com. HelloFresh.
Oh, hello.
HelloFresh. HelloFresh.com/Penn80. It's like receiving 8 meals free, 8 free meals. You get $20 off your first 4 boxes. This seems really, really
It is
great.
delicious.
Yeah.
I want to try it. I was supposed to try it.
I
And
know.
they sent it to you instead.
You were out of town, and they sent it to me.
That's the way it goes. I want to tell you that tomorrow morning, You know the restaurant Mr. Chow's? Mm-hmm. It's at Caesars.
Okay.
And there's some sort of television program they do. I can't keep track of all the television programs. Remember when it was just Bonanza, Ed Sullivan, Star Trek, and Outer Limits?
Uh-huh.
Good.
Speed Racer during the day.
Yeah, that was it. Bugs Bunny maybe once in a while in the early evening.
Yeah.
And we're done. If they said to you, name every show on television, 1968, you might forget. You might forget like the Beverly Hillbillies and go, oh, fuck yeah. But you
You can name all of
You
them.
can name all of them.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and they're all still successful.
Yeah.
I think all of them are still successful and still running.
You can still name them. But now there are so many TV shows that you can't name them. So there's some TV show that I'm on, and it's going to be from Caesar. It's a Caesars thing, and I'm in the Caesars family.
Yes, you
unlike
are.
the Manson family. And they want me to go and eat. I guess I'm a judge. I'm not cooking. And there is another entertainer in town who hung tough on vegan. Hung very tough on vegan, and they can't find a way. They're trying to accommodate that person. And they said, if we tried to lean heavily vegetarian, would Penn come and eat? And I said, certainly, that's my job.
All right.
But, I used to, this is how things have changed so much with me.
Yes, I was going to say.
It used to be when I first went to this diet, I said, when I'm working, I can eat anything.
Yeah.
And then I went on, what's it, Bobby Flay?
Yeah.
Right after I had done the diet and lost all the weight, I was asked to go on Bobby Flay. And I was so looking forward to a nice thick steak, and cheesy potatoes and all this stuff. Ribs, I was just living for it.
Bobby Flay, barbecue show.
I went and had it, and it was wonderfully prepared, and I was disappointed. I was disappointed in how much I liked the steak. I just thought, well, I haven't had a steak in 3 months. This is going to be great. And I hadn't had a steak in 3 months, and I went like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of over it. But it was wonderfully. I'm not saying, you understand, I'm saying nothing about Bobby.
No. I
myself.
remember the steak
Your
was something
taste,
like $100 an ounce. Was this weird?
Yeah. It was,
Yeah, that's
fabulous.
crazy.
And I did that again with Giada.
Yeah.
I was
Sure.
eating this most expensive meal ever with Giada, and it was fabulous. And now a couple years have gone by, and now I go, oh God, I hope it's not chicken,
Yeah.
and I hope it's kind of not pork. I hope it's kind of not beef. I guess cheese, maybe butter. Maybe it'll be all butter. If it's butter, I'm okay.
It'll be a fair thing. It'll be deep fried butter.
Yeah, deep fried butter. And maybe some. I'm also okay. They put a little egg in the batter or something,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Creme brulee.
but not an egg.
Butter and creme brulee.
Yeah, that'd be okay. But I said I would do it for my job,
All right.
and it'll be really interesting. I'll report back
Yeah.
because this
One
is
of us would be happy to come in with you tomorrow morning and eat the food and tell you how it was.
Yeah. Well, how about you, man? Are you getting a little bit turned off by it or not?
Again, this episode hasn't aired, I don't think, but we talked about Clapper, is that I just tend to be fine with both. I do have an authentic vegan palate where if I have an unbelievable vegan item, I love it a lot and keep it as equal value in my brain as anything else or whatever. But I'll still eat at a barbecue or something like that. If I have something like that, it still tastes good to me.
Yeah, it's gone away. Although I've had Impossible Burgers and I've liked those, but I'll tell you, chicken is like
Yeah, you're horrified by chicken.
horrified. It's like if 10 years ago you'd said they have a really good chef who prepares rat.
Yeah, here's a foot.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
a foot for you.
Yeah, and I go, oh, okay. I'm sure it's okay for me, and I'm sure it'll be,
Yeah. Yeah.
Or when you have like blood sausage. Remember when you had blood sausage?
Yeah,
in England?
yeah,
You kind of go, God damn. And then you kind of go, well, wait a minute. I eat blood. What do I think the gravy is?
Yeah.
Gravy is blood. So I'm going to be eating, and it's really funny. It's a huge change for me to get over, to feel you know what I'm thinking?
I have a feeling that if I went to Mr. Chow's, whatever he prepared for me, I'd enjoy tremendously.
Yeah, I'm hoping I do miss fried rice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I do miss fried rice.
is good.
The
The only thing, well, I guess. Make it
I was
with
just
eggs.
gonna, I was just going to tell a joke. I remember the new guy on Saturday Night Live, all the shit he's getting. No Chinese food jokes.
No.
And didn't our presidential candidate come out and say he would sit down and talk with
Andrew
him?
Yang,
Yeah.
he's fascinating.
How much do we love Andrew Yang?
I was going to say, he seems like your presidential candidate.
I think he probably is.
Yeah.
He's given $1,000 a month to 12 people,
And specifically referring
4 people.
Yeah, and specifically he
5
wants it
people.
to be, I think it was
You should
10.
start that program.
I think it was 10.
I
And,
know 3 that would.
But he specifically wants it to be passive income. Like
Yeah.
he specifically doesn't want it to be like everyone's saying you can't live on $1,000. He said, I don't want you to live on $1,000. I want you to have the freedom to have options or to invest in other things besides that.
Right.
And talking about the failures of like worker training and that kind of stuff that when people get fired and they offer worker training, how much that actually works out for people. It's really fascinating.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. Joe Rogan is guaranteed basic income nut.
Yeah.
Everybody tells me it's not very libertarian, but boy, to get rid of all welfare, all food stamps, all everything, and just write a fucking check, it seems so great. You know what they found out? Now, I read this study that made me laugh so hard. Two things make me laugh really hard. One is the test for narcissism. Do you know the test for narcissism?
No.
Are you a narcissist? It's a one-question test. Most narcissists answer yes. You can't do that with schizophrenia. Are you a narcissist? The other thing that happens is I read this whole study that had in the middle of it, turned out in studying poverty, that one of the best ways to eliminate poverty is to give the people money.
Yeah.
And you go, I could have thought of that at 6 years old. How come I can't think of it now?
Yeah.
But it turns out if you just take someone who's homeless, you don't need to give them training.
Right.
You don't need to give them nutritional help. You don't need to have them study. You give them $10,000. They're not poor anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there are big things that you can do that make a huge difference. And when you're poor, you buy things one at a time. When you're wealthy, you go to Sam's Club and get a big package of them.
Yeah.
And so, a roll of paper towels will cost you $3 buying them individually. You buy 100 of them and they're $1 each. Those kinds of things are big expenses.
But that's not really the main reason. The main reason is just enough money to get a breather, to get going, to take a step. And, the thing we really need to do, we did this crazy fucking shit during World War II or World War I, where we froze wages and couldn't give people raises because they didn't want people that were not in the service to benefit. But still, the free market doesn't know the difference. So it had to do benefits. So it gave people health insurance.
Right,
And we attached health insurance to the job.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it should be single payer national health care or whether it should be all individual insurance, but it sure as fuck should not be attached to the job. You've got people keeping shitty jobs because they can't change their health insurance. So Yang might be my guy.
Yeah, he's an example of a guy. He said, that his what the money helped him. He didn't quit his job or do anything crazy, but he bought a guitar with his money and started playing in a band. Mm-hmm. And the extra money allowed him to do that. And he was just happier as a person.
Yeah.
So he had the same shitty job, but his mom was also sick, but he was sticking with the job, not because of money, but because of being near his mom. And so that was just tough. And the passive income allowed him to get a guitar, go out and rehearse, go with a band and just develop a hobby. And I think the only thing he's calling
that person's name, Bruno Mars.
Andrew, I know you're listening to the podcast. I don't know. That's probably not true. But he's calling it the freedom dividend. I think it should go constitutional. They should call it the pursuit of happiness dividend.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Why aren't you working for him?
I might.
Yeah. I love.
Can't afford it.
I love what he said, even though the position seemed to be a little. His idea, I'll sit down and talk with you, was pretty great.
Yeah.
His idea, I'll sit down and talk with you, pretty great. I also like, he might be more my kind of nut than Marianne.
Yes.
But that's the nut that I would vote for. Yang Williamson Yang. Get my vote
problem.
like that.
Yeah.
My vote like that.
I think what's important is when you run for president and you can gain any kind of platform with it, you gain any kind of steam, you get to change conversation, And before Yang running for president, the universal basic income thing was basically a nutty idea that you read in tech blogs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You really didn't see it as part of a national conversation.
Yep.
And so in that regard, I think he's just very successful at people talking about it.
Yeah, maybe Yang's my man.
Yeah. I just listened, he had a big interview in the New York Times podcast. And when it was over, I just was like, Penn would love this guy.
Maybe you could say, I'm not tugging your wang, I'm voting for Yang. Is that a slogan? We'll help them out.
Yeah,
You know,
we can't stop getting
Website's
this
got to
guy.
win $1,000 a month, no strings attached thing.
Yeah.
The freedom dividends. He's got people entering
Yeah.
to win it.
Well, I should
Or to
explain
donate.
this. So one of the guys on Fool Us, Adrian Carretala.
Yeah.
Adrian Carretala,
Yes.
Spanish magician.
Yes.
He's the one that did the stripping off all his clothes.
Yes.
Not all his clothes, down to his boxer shorts and T-shirt. And the ring vanished from a handkerchief and appeared on his shoelace.
Yes.
Remember that guy?
Yeah, on the ladder. Yeah.
Well, we loved him. We
Yeah.
just loved him. And he came to do the show, but he did something no one has ever done at one of the Foolers on the show.
Mm-hmm.
No one had ever done this. Backstage after the show, he said, "I want to show you how it works." And we said, "Well, you told us afterwards." He said, No, I want to really show you. And he had all the props and laid it out and how he built it and did the whole thing. Laid it out for us. And then he said, "I've brought some other tricks for you." And he opened this bag that he brought over from Spain, and he pulled out like 2 or 3 other tricks that he had invented. He's an inventor. He was on the Inventor Show.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's an inventor. Pulled out 2 of the other tricks that he invented, and then just said, "I'm watching your show. I thought maybe you could use this or you could use this." And Teller said, "Well, maybe we should talk to you about a couple things that we're working on." And we ran down a couple of ideas and where we had it, and he started brainstorming with us.
Wow.
And an hour and a half later, we'd solved a couple of problems.
Wow.
And I was driving home, and Teller said, I got a phone call from Teller, which I usually don't answer, but I did.
You're in the car.
Moby Dick had finished the chapter. Didn't let it go to voicemail, which Teller, of course, has specifically reprimanded me for. I know you're looking at your phone, you let it go to voicemail, then you don't even listen to it. You just read the summary, and that only cursory. If you answered the phone, we'd have fewer problems with our business. I go, yeah, no one calls. Anyway, he called and said, I called Adrian, and he's in town until Friday. Do you want to work with him all week? And I said, yeah. And Glenn called up and made a deal to hire him. So he was a Fooler on Sunday night,
Yeah.
and he was on staff Monday afternoon.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he came into the rehearsals, and we laid out. I went through my notebook. My notes on my computer.
Yeah.
I went through my notes and just said, here's a bit, here's a bit, here's a bit, here's a bit. And we started brainstorming. And it was just amazing. And then I said, and then Teller said, Jandro is in town too.
Yes.
Jandro was the one that did the thing with Juan Tamres.
Yes. Yeah.
He's in town too, and he's good friends. And I said to Teller, we already have a Spaniard in the works. Now, I expected Teller to say, isn't that funny? Ha, ha, ha. Then I said, we have a Spaniard in the works. And I said that to Adrian. And no laugh. You guys don't know what I'm talking about either. John Lennon wrote 2 books. One was called In His Own Right, with the pun, right. And the other was called The Spaniard in the Works. And it was about a Spaniard. But there's an expression in England called a spanner in the works. And a spanner is a wrench.
Yes.
And it means throwing a wrench into gears.
Oh,
No,
so
of
we
course.
call a monkey wrench.
Monkey wrench. It's like a monkey wrench. So a Spaniard in the works was John Lennon's joke. And I thought it was really funny. We had a Spaniard in the works. And then Jandro said, I'll come in and work with you. So one afternoon, we had Jandro and Adrian. Jandro just goes by the name Jandro. It's not that I'm ignoring his last name. Brainstorming with us. And it was wonderful. It was really, really, really
bet.
wonderful.
They
And
know their stuff.
what's
Those,
that?
those
two are
Spaniards
great.
know their stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, the Spanish know their shit. And also they were, they have heavy Spanish accents. So it also made it brainstorming with charades. And build the
Well, wet balloon.
if we get it was like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I had to tell him this is like brainstorming with charades. But I had to explain to them what charades is, which is really hard across languages. And our crew, because our crew were the funniest people in the world, the crew were standing there, and one of the Adrian or Andro would suggest something that meant one of the crew had to move something or work instead of just standing there drinking coffee. Our crew's wonderful. They work really hard.
Yeah.
But I'm just setting up this joke. They would say, dude, can we try from the top and moving the props a little bit stage left? Our crew would go, build the wall. Build the wall right now. Build the wall right around them. Build the wall. Build the wall. And then we had explained to them I wouldn't do a joke like that behind their back. Right. I would say, there's some problems with immigration and our president. And then they would have to say, that is Mexico. I said, yes, we all know that. We all know that. We don't have a Mexican helping us now, and we want to do this joke, and it's really, really funny. So it was this whole day of heavy Spanish accents, charades, brilliant magical thinking, and of course, I became the cheerleader for this. Build a wall. So they would say stuff like, when you're doing this switch, Ben, I think maybe the left hand needs to not pull a build a wall. Just build a fucking wall.
Don't you criticize
Guys,
me.
Build a wall around him right now. It was amazing. And, I it's very strange, but not strange. Everybody will understand this completely. We miss Johnny tremendously.
Yeah.
We had all these sessions with Johnny there all the time. And this was another, by the way, both Alejandro knew Johnny very well. Adrian is a little bit too young. He knew of Johnny, certainly, and knew him through Juan Tamariz. But by the way, when they say the name Juan Tamariz, and we say the word name Juan Tamariz, we can't understand each other. We didn't know we were talking about the same person. Because they say, Juan Tamariz. Juan Tamariz. Well, you know Juan Tamariz. Oh, yeah. Oh, does he know Juan Tamariz? Who? Juan Tamariz. Juan Tamariz? Juan Tamariz. But having someone else who's very, very knowledgeable. And it's also interesting because we worked with Johnny for 20 years. So although he still knew more than us, we had an idea of the kind of things he knows.
Yeah.
Especially Adrian knows all this inventor shit, that we don't think about
great.
ever.
Yeah.
And Jandro has a really much broader sense of humor than we do. So he put this drop on a move that's really this funny, almost slapsticky thing. And we got so much fucking work done with 4 days with these people.
That's
and
awesome.
what I was amazed by was I believe this was planned by Adrian. I mean, I believe he planned on, I'm going to come in and show what a great inventor I am. And it's funny that no one else has tried to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one else has said, I was on Fool Us. I fooled
As long
you.
as I'm here.
Maybe I could help you fool other people. Huh?
I think people would be so afraid of you guys if you were like even an eye roll or just a heavy pause.
Well, that was the great thing. It took about 45 minutes before everybody was going, no, what the fuck? We got to there.
Yeah.
It only stayed polite like 45 because unless you cross out of polite, you can't write.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You got to cross out of that.
Yeah.
And it was really wonderful. There are a couple Spaniards in the works. And we might bring them back over because they just have great stuff. Also, the overlaps were amazing because Jandro says, you got what you call I said, the ball pit. He said, what? The ball pit. Ball pit. Like they have at McDonald's. Yeah. I have one too. And he laid out this trick he was doing where he's vanishing from a ball pit, which is exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we got to talk about those kinds of things. Nice. And he talked about this and that. And it was just really wonderful. So I think we're going to be, and everybody understands how much I love Johnny. So I don't have to be careful of what I say.
Yeah.
But with Johnny gone, bringing in other magicians to just kind of brainstorm is pretty great. You know?
Especially
they're
with
new, they're fresh, they have different ideas that you haven't been through.
And
It's
the
gonna
other
be
thing
great.
is what Teller and I, and this is, and I mean this obviously with no disrespect, but somebody coming up with an idea that both Teller and I dislike is really useful. Teller and I both tear that idea apart, and while we're tearing it apart, we've gotten 3 more ideas. It's amazing. So I think we're gonna try to be much more liberal in just bringing people in for a week, want to work with us for a week, because both of them loved it.
Yeah.
They both thought we treated them fairly. They enjoyed it. We checked everything. Jandro gave us one idea, and I said he laid out the whole thing he does in his show. And he said, you told us this and showed us video about how well it went in your show, and that was a fine story. And then you started talking about details. Are you telling us this because we could do it in our show? And he went, yeah. And I went, we could really just take your bit and do it? But the bit doesn't fit us. We'd have to change it tremendously.
Of course, yeah.
And he said, yeah. And it turns out that Jandro was the first one to do Woody's love ritual, the card thing. And he said, yeah, I did it in my show, and I loved doing it, and it was fabulous. And then other magicians saw it. They started doing it. So even though I was first and I got it from Woody, I just let it go. I said, funny you should say that. But Shin Lim just did it on America's Got Talent, and I think we have to be done with it. He said, yeah, it doesn't matter who was there first. The audience doesn't know. You don't want them to see anything that you're doing as someone else did. And I said, well, yes, which is why we wanted to take your bit, because no one's seen you in Spain.
Yeah.
But it's really been fun. So we're also bringing.
Fascinating. Do you need an intern or someone to do charades? I'm really good at charades.
Yeah. My Spanish is muy bien.
Yeah, it's also
fascinating.
It's also so embarrassing because you see them struggling with the language, and you go, man, they are doing this genius shit in another language.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you imagine how fast and articulate they are if we were speaking Spanish?
Oh,
and
yeah.
then we did find out because the 2 of them are there.
Yeah, so they speak to each other.
So the 2 of them go, one of them gets an idea, and then they come together with their English and lay it out, and you go, wow, they're doing it. They're doing another language. It's really amazing. It was really a really beautiful experience. I really, we're going to do more of that, a lot more of that. And then tomorrow we also do Good Morning Australia.
Whoa.
Because all of January we are in Australia. We are in Sydney at the Opera House.
Opera House, I've heard of it.
Which has no backstage at all. And when last time I went to Sydney, I bragged that I never wanted to see the Opera House. Yeah. It's such a cliche. I said, I want to go the whole visit to Australia, never see so the time we were driving by the Opera House, I kept my head down, my eyes closed, and they'd tell them. So I've never seen the Opera House live. And I was wondering if I'm going to be able to get in the stage door without ever seeing it from the outside. So at the Sydney Opera House, like January 6th or something, or 8th or something, in January. And it's selling really well, crazy well. Yeah. It's our first appearance ever in Australia, ever. So really
I was in Australia with Teller, and people on the streets were recognizing it.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. And then we're also doing Brisbane. And so there's a show called Good Morning Australia. You know what's great? With the time difference? Good Morning Australia, 2:30 in the afternoon.
Oh.
How great is that? I want to do all morning shows in Australia. Very, very civilized. I could host, just so you know, if you're listening from Australia, I could host an Australian morning show from right here in Vegas and be thrilled to pieces. Have my cup of coffee, sit there going, and now we have the craft segment. Who has the biggest pumpkin? Good morning. Here's what traffic's like on the Sydney Audubon.
Sydney Audubon.
The Sydney Highway.
Yeah.
Highway. They speak the same language.
Sure do.
I did a wonderful interview with a journalist from down there. Mm-hmm. And she said to me, will you be changing your show at all for the Australian audience? And I said, we have a lot of people going to be after the show and like call me mate and say good day and stuff that sound like they're Australian. And not one of them has said, and stop with that American English shit. We don't get it. So I think we're okay. But I'm excited about going to Australia.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And we'll be down there for like almost the whole month of January. And I'll be on Good Morning Australia. And the tickets, I think, by the time we get down there, I think both shows, Sydney and Brisbane, are going to be sold out. So if you're a Sunday school person and you're down in Australia, we'd love to have you you
Early warning.
have you come on by. And I also want to say, now, did you watch? You didn't watch Perpetual Grace Limited?
Not yet.
Did anybody watch Mindhunter?
I have watched Mindhunter.
The second season?
I'm just 2 episodes into the second season.
Okay. There is coming up in there my new buddy, who's also a Sunday school listener. My new buddy, Damon Herriman.
Uh-huh.
Damon Herriman has done something crazy in acting. He plays Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood
Yeah.
and in Manhunter.
Oh, he's in this. He's the same actor playing Manson in both projects.
Yeah. And he's on Perpetual Grace Limited.
Yeah.
He's one of the leads, and he is beyond fabulous. One of my favorite actors I've ever seen. He's able to be, it's this combination that is so powerful. He's able to be kind and creepy simultaneously with every sentence. And he does a monologue in Perpetual Grace. It's toward the end. It's 10 episodes. This is episode 9, called The Little Tornado. And when you get to the monologue of A Little Tornado, the combination of Steve writing the Little Tornado monologue and Damon delivering it, unbelievable. This Conrad Herriman combination.
Yeah.
It is about a 6 or 7 minute monologue in the middle of a show where he describes how he's going to go to jail and be the little tornado. That his psychosis, optimism, kindness, and insanity going together. It's one of the greatest. I mean, I think that if someone were doing like auditions and had to have a monologue prepared, Little Tornado would be one of the greatest little 6-minute hunks I've ever seen. And although the only thing you'd be discouraged because you're not going to be able to do it better than Damon. But I mean, people do, right? You talking to me, they do that as a monologue. So
I still do that one.
That was done pretty well.
I did one on parties.
So he said, I haven't talked about this. He's going to come on the show. And in all the interviews, he's going to come on Sunday School. In all the interviews, he says, I've done Manson twice. I don't think I can do Manson again. It would be very bad for my career. And he spent 6 months watching everything of Manson, reading everything of Manson.
Oh, my gosh.
He did a deep dive. I bet he can improvise as Manson. And I want to have him on our show as Manson. And I know if he hears this, he's going to go, fuck you. Because I said to him, we want to have you